Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Ericson along with Mayor Jerry Cook. Today we're talking about both the Monday, January 7th and our Tuesday, January 15th City Council meetings. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Here we are, 2019.
I know. Happy New Year. We are back, and we actually had a Monday meeting to kind of start off our new year.
A nice, short little Monday meeting. Yep, you know, it's after an election year, you have the first Monday business day of the year, you have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
So we did that, and we actually had some official business to take care of right away.
Well, we did.
You.
Yeah, we did. We had three of us were elected last year, re-elected, and two of them weren't going to be at the meeting.
Yeah.
So we were very honored to have the Honorable Tammy Fredrickson, former Coon Rapids City attorney, but now she's been a judge for at least, 8 years, I believe.
Been a while.
Yeah, just an awesome person and a great judge and a great attorney. And anyway, she came in and she swore me in as mayor, and here we go again, 4 years.
Yeah, you survived your first term, and now we're on to your term number 2.
Yeah, and it's just survived this. I mean, it's gone really well.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with where things are, and I'm very happy with things that are as we're moving forward, and I'm looking forward to a great future.
All right. And then, as you mentioned, Councilmember Wade Demmer and Brad Johnson were also sworn in prior to the meeting.
Right.
Because they were not in attendance at the meeting. But they've been sworn in both for their second terms as well.
Right. Yeah, so we'll have the same council for really 6 years then.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have some continuity. We work well together. We're able to jump right in and have a retreat coming up next month, whereas normally you'd be waiting for the new council members to sort of get up to speed and then have a retreat. And so it's helping with our strat planning. It's just, it's real nice.
All right. Well, our first meeting of the year is normally sort of a kind of get organized meeting, and so we had some typical actions, council business that are taken care of on that meeting.
Yeah, so everybody gets their assignments, and I don't have my list here, but members of the council or staff represent us on the joint law enforcement, Twin City Gateway Visitors Bureau, the Fire Relief Association, the Joint Fire. There's an IT group, So basically, we just have to make all the official appointments for those community ed. We have to make all the official and youth first. They're going to just start rolling in once in a while now. But
yeah, there was a whole list of them on here.
Yeah.
North Metro Mayors, like you said, Youth First, Schwann Super Rink, Joint Board. So you make those appointments. Those are usually city staff members or council members, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and some of them are specific. So like the one that's the IT thing, that's going to be our Dave. Dave Sack is the head of the IT here, and so he's the main appointment, and then Matt Stemweddle's the alternate to that, or they're both there. And then, of course, the North Metro Mayor is going to be the mayor. And
yep.
So
those are done. We also had some commission appointments as well. That's always done, board and commissions.
Right, and I wish I would have had the list here. We've got some vacancies that we would love to get filled. We have the Arts Commission and oh, look at this. You've got it.
It turns.
Nice. So the Arts Commission, which is a great organization, they do the concerts in the park, they do the Christmas holiday lighting, they do a photography contest, picture, and they've got about 8 vacancies. And it's a pretty big crew, but it's a very fun crew to be on. Mary Ann Keene is the chair of that. Board of Adjustment and Appeals, we reappointed Erin Vandelindy as the chair, and we've got one vacancy on there because Ron Bradley was just moved from the Board of Adjustment and Appeals over to the Planning Commission, and so that's a great crew. Charter Commission appointments occur in March. Civil Service Commission, Bruce Sanders, former councilman, was appointed the chair. Al Hofstad was reappointed. Historical Commission, we actually have 2 vacancies on the Historical Commission, and that's a very active group as far as they're responsible for maintaining our history. Really, they've got the the placards around town, and noting the old Minnesota dragways and the old airport and Ghostly's and the golf course, the old Mississippi golf course.
Yep.
So 2 vacancies there. Park and Rec, Neil Livermore is our new chair, and we appointed Karen Blaska to that. And there's 1 vacancy on the Park and Rec Commission. That's a great one, especially if you've got kids and you want to have a say in how the parks are going to get laid out and redone. The Planning Commission reappointed Wayne Schwartz as chair. Don Heikala was a reappointment, and then we appointed Chris Geisler and then Ron Bradley to the Planning Commission. Safety Commission, there are 4 vacancies on that. And then the Sustainability Commission, Stacy Demers, the chair. Tim Lockram was a reappointment. Al Hofstad was reappointed in the chair of the Safety Commission. So there's some vacancies, and they really do. I was trying to separate
You're
that
all
from
good.
Yeah.
It rotates.
Yeah, I see that. So the commissions do so much work around the city. They're really boots on the ground almost, and we appreciate it. They really keep the city moving, and if there's vacancies, we'd really appreciate folks considering stepping up and applying for those.
Yeah, and it sounds like we do have a number of vacancies out there, so if people are interested, they can just go to the city's website and get an application form.
Yep.
And basically, they rank their interest in what commissions they want to serve on, and then they keep those on file even when there's not openings, and when openings come up, they have a list to go to.
That was a perfect summation.
All right, so we did that, and then like you said, just the regular stuff, designating the official newspaper, which again is ABC Newspapers,
Yep,
the Anoka County Union.
Yep, Anoka County Union Herald. Okay. And this year we actually had a bid from the Star Tribune. They came in as well. I think that's sort of a sign of the times, and but they were higher, and the Anoka County Union Herald meets our requirements, so we went with them.
All right, and then designating official council secretary and official depository, and then basically council rules and procedures. You adopt those. It's kind of the order of the meeting and all that, and nothing big changed there?
No, nothing changed. The dramatic change was 4 years ago when I became the mayor. We started televising open mic, but we moved open mic to the end of the meeting, and then set a limit of 3 minutes on that. Otherwise, everything's we haven't made any changes from 4 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So that was kind of our council business for that. We had one item there we wanted to talk about from that actual meeting, was a resolution authorizing city staff to distribute the comprehensive plan to the Metropolitan Council. That's something that's been in the works for a while here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, staff has worked so hard on that, and with council and planning commission, all of the commissions have had input. So it's a very large project, and this was the final, yep, we're good to go, send it over to the Met Council. So, and it's all on the city's website. If you ever get an opportunity, it really gives you a really broad look at Coon Rapids and where we want to go.
All right. Well, again, that was our first meeting on a Monday, first of the month, and actually then the 1 week right after that, this week, Tuesday, January 15th, we had our second meeting of the month at its normal schedule there. One of the first items there was the oath of office for a new police officer.
Yeah, that's always exciting. Jordan Gertz was hired, I believe they said last July, and then they really run them through the gauntlet. They all kinds of training. They really look at them in really stressful situations and see how they respond. And I don't know how many of our officers have a hand in their training, but they're really looked at carefully. And if they pass through all that, then they're sworn in as a new officer, and he's badge 161. Yeah. Great young man. His family here. His wife pinned his badge on him, and it was the first time I'd seen the red pin above on the uniform. And then when I got closer, it was USMC. Yeah. Of course, a Marine is a Marine forever. So it was you can see that about him.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the rest of the officers there to support him. They were filling the back of the room there, and
that was a very large turnout.
Yeah,
very good turnout. Well, he'd served as community service officer prior, and he was originally a Coon Rapids guy, and then I think he went to high school in Shakopee, and So we're just happy to have him here.
Yeah, just great to see all the support there
Yep.
for his swearing in.
And I love how the chief always says, this is the citizen's badge. You know, the citizens of Coon Rapids are entrusting you with this badge. And I really like that. It really sends I think it's a very solid message because it's really important to our officers to know that, yeah, you've got a tough job. You are law enforcement, but it is to protect and to serve. And so.
All right, well, welcome aboard, Jordan. Moving along, the lawmakers are back in St. Paul for the start of the 2019 session, and we had one of our representatives here at the meeting on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so Representative Peggy Scott represents the north end of Coon Rapids, and she just kind of stopped in and gave us an update, let us know that they're back in session, and if anybody needs anything, to make sure they reach out to her. We're very fortunate here in that we have several representatives, and I think 3 senators for Coon Rapids. I think we've got Senator Abler, Senator Hoffman, and Senator Newton for Coon Rapids.
And then 4 representatives.
And then 4 representatives. So when Coon Rapids needs something through the legislature, we have some good contacts.
You know, I often wondered if that was a good thing or a bad thing, because our city is pretty split. I mean, it's probably pretty unique to have, like 7 people serving the city.
I think it is unique, but I think that it's worked really well because we have a great working relation with all of them. And they've always responded when we needed to extend a TIF district, when we've gone for funding for the 3rd lanes on Highway 10, which they've all signed on to multiple times. And I think we're going to get it this time. We just heard from representatives last night, and apparently the agreement between the Senate leader Gazelka and Minority Leader Hortman, who is one of our representatives for Coon Rapids, apparently the agreement is if it was in last year's bill that was vetoed by the governor, and if it had bipartisan support, those are going to be the first things up. So we're already in the hopper down there for, that's probably the wrong word, I think you get into the hopper later, but there's already legislation written for our funding for Highway 10. And we're trying to get funding for a full interchange with 610 and Coon Rapids Boulevard. I'm very optimistic. We've got some great relationships.
Yeah, so even though this is a budget year, usually it's every other year, it's bonding.
Right.
There wasn't much of a bonding passed last year at all, right?
Well, right, and that's why they entered the year with a $1.5 billion surplus, because all of the money that should have been spent last year didn't get spent. So I think that they are going to make an exception and work through those.
Some of the bonding items might go through this year. But again, we usually don't know much till toward the end of the session in the 3rd week of May, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. Well, we have we're one of the very few states, or if not the only, that has a divided legislature. And I've always kind of liked that. You know, we had a governor come in that wanted to go to a unicameral government here. And I'm kind of a fan of the bicameral because it kind of checks and balances and kind of slows things down a little bit. I'm kind of a fan of smaller government and a little bit slower.
But it can also lead to gridlock, so I mean...
well...
Stay tuned, as we say in television. All right.
If it's a choice between them doing nothing and too much, I'm probably a fan of nothing.
All right. We had a public hearing. Council considered establishing a tax increment financing district. This is for a project, an apartment project in Port Evergreen.
Yeah, so if you've been around Coon Rapids for quite a while, you remember Tequila Berries. Now it's the Muddy Cow, Springbrook Drive, and Coon Rapids Boulevard. So this is a project just slightly north of that. And on one side it has Highway 47, and on the other side it has Highway 610. So it has a busy highway on 2 sides of it, and then it abuts a single-family housing neighborhood. And so they're looking at 184 workforce housing apartments, and it'll all come in and out 93XX Springbrook Drive.
Okay.
So the main ingress and egress will be Springbrook Drive and Coon Rapids Boulevard. And so we just approved them to go after their TIF financing. There will be a small interfund loan for some other things, but Ellers is our bond folks, and they anticipate that they'll have the TIF paid off in 12 to 15 years, and then they'll be paying full taxes, and it looks to be a beautiful project.
Yeah.
All very high-end, the granite countertops, the stainless steel appliances. There'll be a dog run, a tot lot, 111 underground parking spaces. So it looks to be a very nice project. I'm never a fan of the providing TIF funding for tearing down trees, but that's not the rule on TIF is but for this financing would the project be able to go forward, and this one would not. So it passes oddly enough, the but for test.
Yeah.
And the council unanimously approved it.
Yeah, and that land has sat vacant for a long time.
Vacant for a very long time, and this is a conforming use. It's zoned high density. One of the few parcels we've got left that's zoned high density. And if we didn't want high density in there, somebody should have gone in and changed it a while back.
Yeah. And the TIF basically is, so they're not paying taxes, or that money is that helps pay for the project? Is that essentially?
Yeah, so basically it offsets, and I think in this case it's $1.4 million in construction costs, which allows them to just build a much nicer product there. And so for the first, until that is paid off, they will continue to pay the property taxes as if they hadn't gone in there. Okay. So the city will continue to collect the property taxes as if it was a vacant lot. Okay. And then in 12 to 15 years, whenever it is that this TIF is paid off, then it will go to full value, and it's about a $34 million project. Yeah. So it will be significant property taxes to the city and everybody at that time.
All right. So basically this just establishes a TIF district for the project. The project still needs to go through the planning process with the Planning Commission?
They still need the site plan approval and all of that, and I'm sure it'll come back to us for final TIF things.
Yeah. All right. Do we know yet a timeline of when were they hoping to construct yet this year?
Wow, that's a great question.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer.
Okay. One would guess as soon as they can get in there, they want to get going.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of us went down and toured one of their projects in St. Paul. The Real Estate Equities has several of these going around town, and I have no reason to believe that they're not going to start as soon as they can.
Yeah. All right. Council considered an appeal of a Planning Commission decision. This is for a site plan and conditional use permit for a self-storage facility basically off Coon Rapids Boulevard Extension and Coon Rapids Boulevard. We talked a lot about this last month. The issue was tabled and brought back at this council meeting.
Yeah. And of course we have letters from attorneys on both sides of this, and so we ended up when it came off of the title or off the table, we felt that there was an argument that we still needed to settle this within a certain timeline. Mm-hmm. And because it seems like there will be potential pending litigation, mm-hmm. there wasn't a lot of conversation about it. Okay. So it's a real tough parcel. We understand that, but we've got $40-50 million worth of new construction going in across the street from it, and there's a lot of changes coming up very shortly. And I'd like to see, hopefully, there will be a higher and better use for that parcel.
All right. So council upheld the Planning Commission decision, which denied the project. Right?
Sure, yes. Yeah. So council removed it from the table and then affirmed the Planning Commission's denial of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Council also had two introductions this night. One was a zone change for 11790 Exeon Street, or did we decide Xeon Street? I know there was a discussion about that.
Well, there was. The police chief said it's Exeon, okay. And I think that it's important that the police know what street you're on if you're calling it in. So.
I always call it Exeon, but I've heard the other argument.
Yep. So. Well, I've always said Exeon as well in lifetimer here. Yeah. But then somebody that has a business up there who was a chemical guy said Xeon, and it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. So,
yeah. Good not to confuse it, too, because don't we have a Zion?
Well, we have Zion, Z-I-O-N.
Yeah, yes. So that sounds more confusing.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
keep those straight.
Keep them straight. Yes.
So this is a chunk of property. I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago or something. We'll say was approved as a planned unit development. It's just north of Northdale Boulevard and on the west side of Exeon, just kind of abutting the creek area that goes through there. It was approved for 3-unit townhomes in there. Mm-hmm. They got the first unit built, and then the project didn't finish. Went through tax forfeiture. Now another developer has picked it up, and they want to build townhomes there. So, so this was, what did we do with that parcel then? So we just
Considered introduced, I assume, right?
Yeah, but we did, yeah.
A change to the zoning.
Thank you, zoning change, yeah. So, so that they'll be able to do that.
Okay, so this was an introduction of ordinance. This will come back for final approval at a future meeting. We also had an introduction of an ordinance to allow single-family homes in Port Evergreen.
Right, so and this is Port Evergreen. This particular development is right next to where that new apartment building is going in. It's Flintwood Street and 94th Avenue down there. And it only affects about a dozen or 20 homes. And they all became part of the port down there because it was anticipated. There was one developer that was purchasing them, and as they became available, and they anticipated that it would be an office park or senior housing, or that would be redeveloped into something. And now that's not going to be the case. They're done waiting. So now that developer is selling off those homes, and there's 2 vacant lots left in there, one the city owns and one the developer owns. And there's really nothing that can be done with those lots in their current zoning because you cannot build a single family home there. And also, all of the homes that are there are also out of compliance. So if they wanted to do a major addition or something, they wouldn't really be able to get that permit because they're not a conforming use. So this will allow single family homes in that port district. So now those 2 single family lots can be sold. And if anybody there wants to tear down, build a new home, do an addition, whatever they will be able to do that.
Okay.
Assuming this continues to go through. It was just an introduction.
Okay.
And because the developer that owns those is a real estate client of mine, I had to recuse myself from the conversation on that.
Okay. So we got to hear from Mr. Wells a little more than we usually do at a meeting.
Yep. I love it. He's great.
He had to chime in. I liked it. Yep. All right. So again, you said introduction of an ordinance. This will come back to council as well for future action.
Yeah, so you'll get to hear from Mayor Pro Tem Wells again.
That's great. Yeah. We love hearing from him. All right. Council authorized a resolution. This is for insurance renewals for 2018 and 2019.
Yep. It's our annual resorting out all of our insurance, and it's the time of year when you go, oh my gosh, we have 207 vehicles. You know, we have a pretty serious insurance bill.
Yes.
And then we've had a couple little incidents with police, so that's a little bump in their insurance rates. And the big thing that's always in front of us with this one, and now it's been finally kind of accepted, is we have an option whether to provide sewer backup insurance or not. And council always, and the city always did, and then around 2011 and 2012, we opted out of the sewer backup insurance. And it puts us in a really tough spot because we provide all of the water and sewer for the community, and if there's a sewer backup, even though we're doing all the maintenance, we're doing everything we possibly can to keep that utility working perfectly, if there's a backup, you still kind of feel responsible. Even though we're found not responsible, we feel responsible. So this allows us to be able to offer some compensation if there's a sewer backup. That being said, it's only $10,000, and that will not be enough if you have a finished basement.
Yeah.
So we always encourage folks to talk to their own insurance people. It's not much of a rider to get sewer backup coverage, and then you actually do have insurance if your lower level gets backed up.
Yeah, God forbid, but we've seen it happen. And like you said, it's the 10,000, nice to have, but
it doesn't go very far. And we've seen these cases $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. Yeah. You know, because it's not a pleasant solution that's coming into your basement.
Yeah, yeah. But again, it's a rider on your policy. It's not normally covered under your general homeowner's insurance.
Correct. That's a big deal.
So, okay. That is all the items we have from our 2 meetings that we wanted to talk about. Quick reminder, if folks don't know, there's a Community Wellness Day coming up on Saturday, January 26th. This is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's at Coon Rapids Middle School this year. This kind of moves around to different schools. In District 11, it's sponsored by the Community Education Department. I've been out there. It's a great time. They have a lot of different booths, vendors, wellness seminars, early childhood activities, like a book swap. So that's pretty cool. There's 40 plus local wellness exhibitors. So everybody's making those New Year's resolutions about getting healthy. Great resources here, so folks can check that out. It's at Coon Rapids Middle School this year.
The book swap, that's kind of a nice compliment for all those little libraries we see going in around town.
Yeah.
All those little ones going out on the post. Those are kind of fun.
People donate their stuff and then pick up some new stuff. Fun. So again, that's coming up Saturday, January 26th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the middle school. That's also the same day that our annual Snowflake Day celebration starts.
And Snowflake Days, I think this is their 52nd year, maybe, or more, 53rd. I don't know. I remember the 50th was at least a couple, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of fun, a lot of community activities. We encourage everyone to look on the calendar. They've got a website, and see what you can get out to, see what you can bring the family out to, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's quite a comprehensive list. It starts with the Mayor's Cup Simulator Golf Tournament and Kids Medallion Hunt. There's Snowflake Bingo, the Miss Coon Rapids Pageant, Junior Royalty Pageant, Cookies and Canvas event is back. And then there's Family Day at the Coon Rapids Ice Center. So that's an event for the whole family from 3 to 7. That's on Sunday, February 10th, along with a family skating event at that night as well. And an indoor kids ice fishing contest is also part of that event. So lots of stuff to do on that night. Again, you can find all this information. I believe it's CoonRapidsSnowflakeDays.com. They also have a website, a Facebook page as well.
Yeah. If you just type into your search engine Coon Rapids Snowflake Days, you're going to find their website.
Yeah, and it sounds like we're going to get some cold weather here now, so that'll be good for the events.
It's colder today.
Feel like winter.
And I encourage folks to come out for our winter concert series.
Yeah.
Thursday nights in the Civic Center. We started out this month with Good Foot Express back on the 10th. In February, we've got Lachlan Road, which is Celtic music, coming up on Valentine's Day. Be a nice little inexpensive date night.
Yes.
I'm liking that.
Free pie and a drink with the admission. I mean, can't go wrong.
And then March 14th is the Brewskis, classic jazz. And then April 11th, my guy, Bill Conker, the accordion variety music. Okay. You know, it's fun. Bill plays down at the Gast House, and they hired him when Warner Stellian had their grand opening many, many years ago. It was all German themed, Oktoberfest themed, and they had Bill Conker come in and play the accordion. So it was fun.
He's been back several times, I think, in this concert series. So people must like him.
Yep, but he's local. I think he lives in Anoka.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So again, these are all in the Civic Center, 7 p.m. on those Thursday evenings. The admission fee includes dessert and a beverage. And come check it out.
How are we doing for time?
We are about out. Do you have anything else? We have time if you want to add anything.
Well, I was just going to mention that our park bond referendum is moving forward, and if you get an opportunity to drive down Northdale Boulevard past the old Riverwind building, it's looking very sharp. It was decided to keep the building, and it's gone through an extensive remodeling inside and outside, and it's really sharp. All that overgrown landscaping has been removed, and another entrance has been added, and I'm very happy with it. I think they still have to figure out what to do with the old brick that doesn't really go with the new colors, but that'll have to wait until it warms up.
All right. And once it warms up, folks can use that park along with the newly remodeled Crooked Lake Beach Park as well.
Yep. And then sometime the next couple months, we should have that new Chipotle opening up on Northdale.
Here they're getting closer. There's a sign at least.
Well, the sign's been up for a couple months now, but they look like they're getting closer.
They're making progress on the building over at Coon Rapids High School too, it looks like. So.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a change.
Lots of stuff going on.
Okay.
All right, we appreciate you being here today and talking to us about the meetings. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here after our 2 meetings in February.